Lyndon Johnson, raving like a madman, states that we had the power to control the Earth's cloud cover then, in 1962, and he says, and I quote verbatim, "He who controls the weather controls the world." That is the bottom line. That's what this is about.
Now, and then my guest Dane Wigington joins me. Guys, put that little clip, when this finishes, put that little clip in my Twitter video. And then also, when you do that, find the 60-second clip of Barr and Trump that we were rolling all day that we need to play again here, and put that in my Twitter folder too, so I can put that out. Okay, thank you. All right, just doing some, taking care of some business here live on air, folks. Teleprompter free, script free, and that's just how we do things. So sometimes we have to air our dirty laundry just to get things done, but that's how it goes, and it just got done, and I hope you had as good a laugh as I did at that. All right, Dane Wigington, so yeah, let's try to get serious now. I mean, we talk about cow farts in the environment. I'm not sure what that does to the environment, but you might have more of a clue into that, the emissions that come from a display like that. But Dane Wigington joins me from geoengineeringwatch.org. The audience wanted us to get you on, all the great work that you guys do at Geoengineering Watch. And so there's a bunch of news to get into, and I'm going to put about 3 or 4 things out there, and then you can decide which one you want to knock out of the park. We do have some interesting weather happening, kind of in the Midwest and North, where temperatures are going from really hot to really cold. Of course, everybody then cries climate change, but that has nothing to do with climate. That's just weather. You also have flooding happening in the Midwest. The big thing that I think made Geoengineering Watch famous and on the map when it comes to the truth movement is all the news that you guys break, or just the images that you guys capture and compile over there of all the geoengineering, which is what the aerosols in the sky and everything like that, which is also an interesting thing to follow just in general. But I was also informed by my crew that you guys are enduring some censorship of your own right now, which does not surprise me. So Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org, take it away, pick up the ball, and dunk it home, whichever one you choose.
Well, and thank you for your willingness to address this most critical issue that too many are not yet aware of. In regard to the censorship, yes, we're the largest website in the world on the subject of geoengineering, 33 million visitors, nearly 33 million. 4 months ago, Google completely deleted our website from the top of the first page under a search for geoengineering to being completely gone, completely deleted off their pages on that subject. So yeah, the censorship's occurring for us as well. In regards to the whole climate issue, Owen, this is what our position would be, and I don't think anybody can rationally deny this. How can we have any legitimate discussion about the climate from any perspective while omitting the climate engineering elephant in the sky? And this is where, again, from any side of the fence on this issue, there can't be a legitimate discussion about the climate without discussing climate engineering, aka solar radiation management, which all of the climate intervention programs, Owen, are weather warfare when we boil right down to it. So in regard to Winter Storm Wesley, which is occurring right now, absolutely engineered top to bottom. We know that the moisture is being chemically nucleated. It's a process called chemical ice nucleation for weather modification. These are patented processes that go back over a half century. We have multiple sources of testing for the snow. We're taking snow tests right now in Minnesota. In fact, we've already noted, and Weather Channel just announced, some of the snow is coming down. It's colored. Some of it's yellowish, some of it's brownish. We know that
now this is actually so key. I want to just pause you for 1 second, because
yes,
this has to do everything with the censorship. It's like you said, Google erases you from their search results because you guys are doing the real research. And just like they want to have all these information battlefronts, climate change is one of their biggest lies ever. So people that search for it and they find out the truth, where you're actually doing the test, you're showing the images, you're showing the video, you've done the research, you've found the documents, and so what do? Well, they just erase you. And so now, and here, because this is my big thing too, it's like, exactly, how are you going to sit here and claim man-made climate change or any climate change at all, but ignore the geoengineering that happens? Now, you guys have the in-depth, really tip-of-the-edge coverage of the geoengineering. But it's even mainstream news now. I mean, you can go search any news outlet. China admits to weather modification. Russia admits to weather modification. I mean, even in the West, they're talking about blocking out the sun now. So I mean, this is all out there. It's like a total checkmate for anyone that wants to argue man-made climate change and ignore this stuff. So, I mean, to me, that's the big censorship issue. But get back into the testing and what you guys are learning right now. This is the stuff that geoengineeringwatch.org does, folks.
Separating the truth from the lies, coming at you from underneath the Noonan, Georgia, heavily chemtrail, not contrail skies. You're about to receive another dose of the shock treatment. Well, what do we have here? Looks like a sun simulator patent. That's right, folks. A sun simulator patent. From when? From when? Oh, it looks like it's from, let's see, 52 years ago, eh? 52 years ago, a patent. And guess what, folks? But wait, that's not all. There is a two-sun theory out there because many people have documented side-by-side two suns, one a little bit bigger than the other. Let's roll this up like this. You see this? All right? And some say, well, the one on the left is a lens flare, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. It looks like NASA has a patent. A patent that, I guess they put in for a patent in 1961. It was approved in 1966, an artificial illuminating system. All right, folks, there you have it, okay? Now, I know this is a tough, might be a tough horse pill to swallow, but, folks, and here's more patents, as a matter of fact. That thing up there that used to be golden is white, and when you try to film it, you get the same effects from it that you do from an LED light. So go figure that one out, huh? And it's white. It's white, folks. It's not the sun of yesteryear. But you'll have people that argue and say when the patents are there, when the proof is actually there from your own two eyes, you can see it. Here's further proof, video imagery of it. That man is actually trying to, I guess in essence, play God. All right? These people have power, and they have a lot of money, endless resources as far as finances are concerned, like NASA, right? Never a straight answer. So I've read something 20 years ago, actually in the paper, believe it or not, that it said that NASA planned on putting a giant mirror up in the sky to reflect the real sunlight onto the Earth. I guess for longer daylight. It's been 20 years since I read it. I can't find it now. But the article is buried. It's just buried in the internet. You know how they scrub things now in censorship. But the patents definitely are there. Bausch and Lomb has one. I think Lockheed Martin has another one. Patent. But I guess my whole point to this is that, if they can put up a fake sun up there, look at that. And I get the same exact on a very high resolution camera. I have a higher resolution camera than this one. And I get the same effect, that black dot right in the middle of it. So that ain't normal. That ain't what the real sun is. So the patents are there. The skies have changed. And that white floodlight, regardless if you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. The patents exist, it exists. I'm not the lunatic. You're crazy if you think this isn't happening. You don't think that they have technology that's way ahead of what your freaking handheld cell phone? Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. The stuff and technology they give us are crumbs. That stuff that they have is old hat to them. Old hat. Just like 5G, the millimeter wave, right? The millimeter wave technology. It's military grade technology. It's going to do a lot of damage to people and life in general. But they had this technology for the longest time. And it's coming. So Yeah, they had it for a long time. Now we're gonna get a dose of it, a big dose. So take a look at that one, huh? You saw the patents. It's been around for a long time. And now you see the proof.
Here it is, 1967.
And there it
Year
is.
I was born.
There's
What a
Richie from
weird
Boston
thing, huh?
showing you
Same
what
year
I
the
just
word
showed you.
Conspiracy theory
Right?
was
It's no theory. It's
weaponized.
actually there. It's real, folks.
Save this information.
And now
I'll leave
RFB is
links,
going to
but I
show
know
you
they
yet
won't
again
stay. Anyways.
satellite imagery of it. All right?
This is what everybody's been talking about for the last couple of weeks. This thing has showed up on the Secchi telescope, the stereo solar telescope. You see this thing? That right there is an exact side view of the sun simulator patent that I put up in March. It's the exact same thing.
I'm going to talk about geoengineering, but
And
I
let's
want
take
to
a look
share
at
story
Megan
with you.
Kirsten,
Every
I want to
time
say
I'm
the
asked
name
to
is.
speak,
U.S. Air Force
I public speak for a
whistleblower.
living. I'll go into
A
that.
U.S.
but
Air
I don't
Force
get nervous to
whistleblower. Now,
speak
what did I
to
say in
What I
previous
get nervous
videos?
about is not getting the most
The Air Force says by 2025, they're going to control the weather. What did Lyndon B. Johnson say? They had the power to dictate the weather. Oh my God, stumbled on my words. To dictate the weather, to control the weather. And he who controls the weather will control the world. China's come out. They've did it for the Olympics that were held over there. Iran's blaming Israel for controlling and taking the moisture away from Iran and basically putting them in a drought. And then you have this right here. United States Air Force, and she was in quality control, and she wanted to know what all was this stuff. Why did they have aluminum and all this extra chemicals stored up? And then she realized what they were doing.
Find being another federal agency. EPA can't, but not OSHA. So from the
let's
health
take a listen
side,
here.
it was
I'll just let her do the
knowing
talking,
what
okay?
you do in the Air Force. What does your job entail that is hazardous to your health? And I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that you were an aircraft painter. You were a mechanic. My job would go out to make sure I knew everything that you did, what you were exposed to, and how to mitigate and engineer out those hazards. Because we needed to, one, it's your legal right to be working in a safe and healthful work environment. So throughout 9 years, I worked as an industrial hygienist and an environmental specialist. There's two bases I was at that are called air logistics centers. What does that mean? It's not like a fighter wing, it's not really fun and amazing. What they did is they took aircraft that around every 10 to 15 years, they were required to be dismantled down to the last screw. So that meant every single industrial process you can think about, checking the metal integrity, making sure everything's good to go, or sometimes overhauling equipment. Part of my job in tracking the health hazards was to look at any time someone wanted to buy a chemical, any type of chemical. It was ordered through a system, and in that system, I had to go in there and say, the country we're in, we're not allowed to use this. We need to substitute it out with something a little less hazardous, while also maintaining the integrity for a technical order, meaning for that process, it says you must use, xylene or toluene to do this process. Well, I had to kind of fast forward. I want to say around 2006, I started kind of opening my eyes to how the military wasn't really what I thought it was. And people approached me knowing what I did for a living and said, have you ever heard of chemtrails? Well, I hadn't. And that sparked my interest. So I went online and I looked at chemtrails. I saw a lot of, debunking, a lot of sites that were just kind of calling it a conspiracy theory. And I thought, well, geez, this is what I do for a living. Preventive health, making sure that people are not getting sick, especially in the workplace, and by things that we're doing that can affect, human health and the environment. To summarize it, in an attempt to debunk this conspiracy theory as I thought it was, I didn't debunk it. It literally changed my life. Like I said, this is hard for me because it's not easy standing here and telling my story. One day I was going through that computer system, which if you want to look it up, it's called an Air Force Form 3952. It is the approval of hazardous materials. I was finding tons and tons of large quantities of aluminum, barium, strontium in the forms of oxides and sulfates. And of course I knew that there's industrial processes you may not have heard of, but it's bead blasting, pneumatic sanding, shot peening. There is certain medias that's similar to that is used. However, I had already accounted for that. I would sit and look at this computer system and say, this shop wants to order this paint. I'm going to tie it to a task. We had to know what was being used, why it was being used, tracking it cradle to grave on how we were going to dispose of it to be compliant with OSHA and the EPA. One of the legal requirements in approving these is looking at what used to be called the material safety data sheet. On that sheet, it's going to list the manufacturer. It's going to list some maybe required personal protective equipment that needs to be used or some ways to mitigate the exposures. These electronic MSDSs did not have a manufacturer name. They were very vague. They almost looked to me like somebody had made it and scanned it into the system. So I asked the question, what is this being used for? I never got an answer, so I didn't approve it. And it sat there. And then the heat came down. Why are you behind on your 3952s? Only a select few of us did that. So I started asking questions. And at that point, my demonization began. You know, I made my rank. I was decorated. I was a non-commissioned officer of the quarter. I won lots of awards. I had no reason for anyone to attempt.
So there you go. They started harassing her. They started saying, you love your kids, don't you? You look like you sound like you're losing your mental faculties there. We might need to get you a psychiatrist. They tried to say that she was crazy when she wasn't. She was in charge to make sure the materials that were ordered were for certain tasks and they were accounted for cradle to grave. But these things like aluminum, strontium, barium, I mean, there was no rhyme or reason for it. So she's like, what the hell's going on? Maybe something there's to it. So as I stated earlier, the Air Force, go look it up, geoengineeringwatch.org. I'll leave the link below. Geoengineeringwatch.org. I mean, the Air Force, they want to control the weather by 2025, but they're doing it now. They're using ionosphere heaters. They're using HARP technologies and frequencies. When you look up and see those crazy-looking ripples in these fake clouds, what do you think is causing that? It's time to start using your brains and your eyes that God gave you, man. It's unbelievable, the cognitive dissonance. More proof, booyah, more proof. And you still ain't getting it. You're still naysaying, huh? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Who's a lunatic? Who's crazy? All the proof right in your face? Unbelievable, folks. It's unbelievable. And when you take a look at the skies and the Franken-skies and all the nonsense that's out there that's not normal, as you see right here from Skywatches, from webcams all around the world, people are seeing strange things up there. Alright? Zipplane, folks. You see them up there with the lines behind them. And people from all over the world are sending Matt Rogers of Skywatches channel on YouTube their pictures of the Franken-skies because they realize that these skies are not what they were not too long ago. We don't have the natural formations up there anymore. Everything's unnatural, and they're even trying to mimic what used to be to fool the heck out of everybody. And they're doing a good job on a lot of them. I mean, I met with resistance on this stuff right here. I mean, the wispy clouds, the weird looking things, the reflections up there, the white sun, that white thing to your right, it's everything looks abnormal. I mean, if you want to take a look at what's inside it, look at it. And this is nanotechnology. All right, look. 10 years ago, I had a book that I got out of the library over here in Sharpsburg. It was brand new. And we were on our way driving up to New York. It was me, my parents, kids, even the dog. All right? And I read part of it, just a little bit of it. But this thing was so far above my pay grade or whatever. I kind of like, what is this? And I said, I put it down. And that was it. I never read the rest of it. All right? But now, roll forward 10 years later, I have an understanding what that book was about. 10 years ago, they had something called nanotechnology. Nano. Nano. Not the Mork Committee, nano. What is it? Mork Committee said nano. It's nanotechnology. All right? It's so fine, so small, that when it comes through the air column and falls down here, you don't see it. That's how that's very fine dust, very fine. They even have something called smart dust. You don't believe that, but they're smart at everything else. Unbelievable. Did you know Walmart has a patent for robotic bees? This stuff is killing the bees, and bees are exhibiting Alzheimer's because of aluminum, and Alzheimer's is on the rise in people. But if you're not connecting the dots, you're just naysaying away, naysaying. I mean, then there's no hope. There's absolutely no hope for you. But when this all comes crashing down, and it will, maybe then you'll wake up, but by then it'll be too late. See, Shakalaka's trying to reach you now, trying to help you get on the same page. Yes, you are breathing this in. And, you know, so the patents are out there for a lot of things. Did you know lab meat, they're rolling that out? And I think Bill Gates is a huge proponent of that. Of course, he's a huge proponent of depopulation. Go check out the Georgia Guidestones in Elberton, Georgia. All right? It's the opposite of the Ten Commandments. Regardless if you believe in God or not, he exists. Regardless if you believe the devil exists or not, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. When you breathe your last breath on earth and you think it's lights out, that's when you find out whether you're going up or down. And I hate to say it, you spent the last days on earth fighting it and naysaying it, just as if you naysaying all this, only to come out, find out you were deceived the whole time by the devil. That's the greatest deception, is that there is no devil. That's the greatest lie told by the devil. All right? And that there is no God. So this is inside the plane. They're spraying you like a roach, and it's happening, and it's not condensation. Condensation does not spread out and form into this cobby web. Listen to Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. I mean, the guy's now on Infowars. He's getting widespread because more and more people are waking up to this, folks. Why would they do this? Control the weather. Why would they do this? Hey, if they can knock some people off, slow kill, why not? Why are they putting 5G out? Because they know it's going to be a slow kill. All right, but if you add the combination of vaccines that they want to force on everybody, sprayed from the air like a roach. I mean, you spray pesticides on bugs, don't you? You think they don't think we're bugs to them? Of course we bug them. I mean, the Georgia Guidestones alone says keep the population at 500 million or less throughout the world. All right? And it's not because of overcrowding. There's nothing overcrowded about the earth. I think about 95% of the United States is like horribly populated. Especially, you know, out west and stuff like that. So, overcrowded my ass. I mean, some cities could be highly dense, like New York and cities in China and stuff like that, Los Angeles. But the overall picture is we are nowhere near being overpopulated. So that's a bunch of crap. You know, I know you want to get rid of dangerous drivers. I do too. I'm sick of them. You know, and over there parking like happy hour style over there, crooked at Kroger. But the thing is, yeah, we're like bugs to them, the elite. All right? The Georgia Guidestones was written by an elite lunatic, rich person, lunatic. And so this is multifaceted, multi-agenda. They did it, cloud seeding on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I think it was Operation Popeye during the Vietnam War. So the technology's been there, folks. It's just that they're ramping it up. And Harvard even came out and said, you know, okay, you got us, but we're going to do it. We're not doing it now. We're going to do it. Spring of 2019. It's called solar radiation management. We're trying to help you. No. Contraire, mon frere. You've been doing it. You're just now busted, so you have to come out and say you're doing it. All right? Trails don't come from engines. As far as contrails, they don't come from engines at all. Yeah, that ain't normal, folks. It ain't normal. The contrails do not come from engines at all. And this is from the Truth About the C Word that rhymes with answer. I'm not going to say it. But what are chemtrails and how they are harming our food and water? It's toxic, folks. So what's in them? What's in them? Well, let's just take a look at this. Just when you thought Monsanto was under wraps, you found out they're up to something, huh? They're up to something even more horrific. What's even worse is that they started a long time ago. In the late 1960s, Monsanto supported the secret Maud Deeb geoengineering lab to develop chemtrails technology, their crown jewel program to protect Earth from global warming via weather control. Sounds so humanitarian, right? Wrong. Most folks discover the reality of chemtrails by initially reading about it online and then going outside. Well, hell, man, I'm trying to knock people's sense in, showing them proof right here. They go outside, they look at it and still think that's freaking normal. It's absolute insanity. Looking up in the sky and seeing these trails stretching from horizon to horizon, eventually turning the sky into a murky haze. Thank you! Chemtrails are the science fiction turned reality. All right, so what are they? They're geoengineered aerosol. They call it stratosphere aerosol injections, many different names. Solar radiation management, geoengineering. It's street lingo, chemtrails instead of contrails, because planes don't produce contrails, only under extreme circumstance. Check out Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org for more on that. It'll make your head spin. Barium, strontium, aluminum, cadmium, zinc, viruses, and chaff. Chaff, the military uses that, but it's mylar fibers actually. Like in fiberglass. Yes, microscopic, very small. You're breathing it in. People are now developing more lung problems and the C word in their lungs. All right? Without ever smoking. Desiccated blood cells. Plastic. Yes, these are facts.com. Polymer chemist Dr. R. Michael Castle has studied atmospheric polymers for years, and he has identified microscopic polymers comprised of genetically engineered fungal forms mutated with viruses, which are now part of the air we breathe. But hold on, folks, I got something else for you. Candida auris. Candida auris is a fungus that is drug resistant, and word out in the street, it's a killer. And this, of course, is from USA Today, which is generally fake news, but they're telling the truth for once, because this is widespread even in the truth community. People know about it, reporting about it. But the thing is, Candida auris is a fungus. It spreads all over in healthcare settings, causing invasive infections. But this thing just popped up on the scene. So it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, folks, where did this come from? All of a sudden, where did it pop up from? Could it be in the chemtrails? They're putting everything else in there. That's just a. Now that part's a theory, but it could be. It's not proven yet, but it's very possible. Listen, they want to force vaccinate people. And if you're not a good little sheeple and go get your needle, right? They got another way to give it to you. Think about it. Think about it, folks. Think about it. That's right, tattoos, the plane. The planes, many of them. Until next time, you receive the shock treatment.